Hi everyone, this is Mr Neel Raithatha, also known as the Wax Whisperer. Thank you for joining me in my latest video. This is of a patient who attended with bilateral, dry, flaky, dead skin in both ears. And we're just commencing with their right ear, which is the worst ear out of the two. They visited their GP earlier today and presenting with this, what we call superficial otitis externa. So otitis externa is an umbrella term given to an infection and or inflammation of the outer ear canal and the outermost membrane of the eardrum. And in this particular case, they've got what we call superficial otitis externa. So there's no underlying swelling or discharge, it's just dead skin. It's a bit like an eczema or psoriasis of the ear. And the GP has prescribed some spray for inside the ear. However, they've recommended to have this removed because it was blocked, and the itchiness is quite unbearable for the patient. Actually, they were constantly having to scratch their ears, and it was just they're getting really frustrated and found it really uncomfortable. Now, the patient is an elderly gentleman, and this condition is more prevalent as we get older, and that's because our skin cells are less able to retain moisture and fluid. And therefore it becomes dry, and in this particular case the skin, it's not only died and shed from off the ear canal wall, but it has failed to migrate out of the ear, so it's just collecting. And you can see the skin, it's quite coarse and rough. It's got the texture of sandpaper almost, some of it. Now, sometimes I prefer to use some olive oil spray just to soften the skin. It just makes it easier to remove, but the patient is also a hearing aid wearer, and they came with their hearing aids. And for that reason, I was trying to avoid using any olive oil, if possible, because I just didn't want the olive oil to clog up and block the hearing aids. But I did have to use some oil in both sides, actually, in the end. I did recommend the patient to use some actual olive oil on a regular weekly basis at night after they remove the hearing aid, so there's no chance of causing any damage to the hearing aid itself with the oil. And just a squirt of medical grade olive oil into each ear, and the oil will help moisturize the skin. So another potential reason as to why this patient's got really dry skin is that at the entrance of our ear canal, the outer third, we have all these cilia, these hair strands, and at its root, at the follicle of the hair strands, are the sebaceous glands. The sebaceous gland secretes almost a fatty, oily substance called sebum, the same oily secretion we find on our scalp. And that sebum helps to moisturize and hydrate the skin in the ear canal. So it prevents it from drying and cracking. And it also provides a chemical barrier, so it's slightly acidic, so it helps to repel and inhibit bacterial and fungal growth. And if you've got the specific gene mutation, so there's a gene, it's called the ABCC11 gene. And if you've got a particular mutation of that gene, it gives you a modified hypogland gland. An hypogland gland is the same gland found under our armpits. So if you suffer from sweaty armpits, it means that you've got this modified hypocryne gland, and that secretes an oily sweat, and this gland is also found then in the ear. And similarly to sebum, the sweaty oil provides it helps to hydrate and lubricate the skin in the ear canal. As we get older, the glands, both of these glands, they shrink in size. So we call that atrophy of the glands, sebaceous glands and the ceruminous glands. So the body is less able to secrete these natural oils in the ear, which makes the skin dry up, they're less hydrated. You can see I'm just using some forceps here just to pull away, but the skin was quite tough, it was quite stubborn actually. Now, you will get a bit of blistering. You'll see it more in their left ear, actually. But when you peel skin like this, especially from an elderly patient, you do get a bit of blistering. It's similar to if you got a bit of skin on your fingertips in the cold, and you peel that skin away, you can get a bit of blistering. The patient didn't feel a thing, and they'll be fine. It's just a bit, you'll see it's a bit red at the base. But it was a bit more on the left-hand side of the second ear, so if you keep watching, you'll see it. And you can almost call this, I'm just doing some work on a property at the moment and stripping all the wallpaper. So it reminds me of the skin. We can almost treat it like wallpaper. We're trying to peel it away from the canal wall. It can be quite adhesive here. You can see it's coming away slowly. Now already the patient found the area to be much, much better. Now the oil that I'm going to use, it's from a brand called Clear. So they're a UK-based company. I've been appointed their healthcare advisor, so I'll declare all my conflict of interest. But they've got some great products, and one of the products is an olive oil, medical grade olive oil spray. Now, people often ask, is it okay to use home olive oil, even like extra virgin home olive oil? And that's been obviously used for generations, but I was obviously asked this company, what's the difference between medicinal grade oil and home extra virgin oil? And it's to do with the extraction process. So when you, apparently, I have done some research on this, and so I've got no doubt them, but extra virgin olive oil, the separation does involve some chemicals in that separation. But medical grade olive oil, the really refined oil, the purest kind of form of oil, is separated from the rest of the oil, which may contain some impurities, without the use of any chemicals, which then gives it the tag medical grade olive oil. So it's just, there's nothing in that oil that potentially can lead to an infection. It's 100% kind of oil without any chemical impurities. So we always recommend using medical grade olive oil. And the Clear olive oil, it comes with a spray applicator, so it's so easy to use. Now, if you do wish to purchase this, so I kind of recommend using it on a weekly basis, especially if you've got dry skin, but you can use it in any case. So similar to, a lot of people use eye drops just on a regular basis to help keep our ears, our eyes hydrated and prevent it from drying. So you can use olive oil in the same respect. So if you just use it every week, a couple of applications, pumps of the spray, tilt the head to the side to allow the oil to enter the ear and soak the ear canal and lubricate the whole ear canal. And then after a few minutes, just tilt your head the opposite way and the oil would seep out, and just put a tissue underneath to collect it. So you can purchase it from our website. The web address is www.clearwax.co.uk, and you can visit our public shop. If you are a specialist and you wish to purchase the olive oil spray in bulk, you can register onto our website. So just click in the sign in icon, then click register, and register as a professional, and that will give you access to our trade shop and trade prices. So this is the left ear. Here you can see the blistering is it occurred a lot more, and that's because the skin's a lot firmer. In retrospect, although I was trying to avoid using oil, to avoid the blistering, and it may have been again in future, that's something I'm going to learn from this. Maybe just use a bit of oil, even if they are wearing a hearing aid, and just ask them not to wear the hearing aid for an hour or so after the procedure. So any excess oil can kind of ease out the ear. Now, it might have not made any difference if I put the oil in. It might have still got a bit of blistering. I said it's more common with, as we get older, the blistering. The patient didn't feel anything. It will just settle. It's nothing to be worried about. But next time I'll just put maybe even half a square just to lubricate, to pre-soften it, but it's not excessive amounts. As you can see, it's got this thick keratin just at the entrance. So in the most of the population, this skin that I'm removing would naturally shed the ear by itself. So as the skin dies and it sheds, the ear has over millennia evolved with the unique ability to self-clean the ear. So the skin, as it dies and sheds, it should move sideways out of the ear by itself. So that process starts from the eardrum. So the outermost layer of the eardrum is the same layer of skin that lines the inner 2/3 of the ear canal. So it's a very thin layer of skin, less than 0.1, 0.2 millimeters in thickness. And we call the skin an epithelial layer. So it's the outer layer of skin. There's no epidermis or dermis layer of skin there. It's just this very thin outer layer of skin. And you can see this skin, you can see the migration route. So you can see as I'm peeling it away, it's going towards the eardrum, and you might see the trail itself. You can see it's coming out in a straight line towards the. So this particular part of skin has got its natural migration route, and you can follow it back to the eardrum. So as the skin on the eardrum dies and sheds, it moves sideways out of the ear in a conveyor belt motion. It can take up to the average rate of migration can vary from individual to individual, but it ranges between 1.5 millimeters a month to 3 millimeters a month. So it's very similar in that respect to the growth rate of our fingernail. And the skin contains keratin. Keratin is a protein, and it normally develops in the skin once it's died and shedded. So the intracellular fluid that was once inside the skin cell, once that is expelled from the cell or is no longer retained, and it dies and it loses all its ability to retain the moisture, the intracellular fluid, the skin cell replaces it with keratin. Now, keratin actually has got some health benefits, and that's, I'm assuming, why I secrete it in these dead skin cells. So keratin provides protection from UV harmful rays of light, and also radiation, apparently. UV rays contains radiation, so that does make sense, actually. Also, keratin is hydrophobic, so it helps to repel water. And as you know, if you've been watching my videos, water's not healthy for the ear. You can see it's just got a bit of oil left there. I'm just going to go back in. It's this little puddle. If the patient just tilted their head across, it would have drained out naturally, this oil, but I decided to go in and just suction it for them, so they're much, much happier. The irritation had gone from their ears. So keratin has got unique properties. So it helps protect the ear from harmful UV rays from the sun and from water. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, guys, and you're all keeping well and safe. Take care and speak soon. Bye.